Alright, this is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and what we got today for you is a brand new juicer. I always love when a brand new juicer comes in and I get to test it for you guys and share with you guys first before anybody else in the nation, gets to share these brand new juicers with you guys. In addition, I'm also happy to announce that DiscountJuicers.com is the first retailer in the United States to offer the brand new Omega VSJ series machines before anybody else. At present time, we have the Omega VSJ843Q, which is the squared off design, and we have it available in the red color that I'll be sharing with you guys today. We also have it in a silver and white color. These are all the same, only the color is different. So that's really cool. Now, before I get into the juicing demonstration, and today I'll be juicing some cucumbers, celery, and some Swiss chard, which is huge. It's out of my garden. I want to share with you guys more about the all-new Omega VSJ843 Juicer and what truly sets it apart and why it's new and different and why this is one you may want to consider if you're considering a vertical slow juicer. So the first thing is, Omega was one of the first companies in the United States to be selling the vertical single auger design. And now this is a vertical slow juicer, VSJ, that's what it stands for, vertical slow juicer, 843. I'm not sure why they have the 8 in there, but the 43 stands for the RPMs or revolutions per minute. 43 RPMs is how fast the motor spins around, and at present time, this is the slowest running vertical single auger juicer on the market in the USA at this time. So in general, the lower the RPM, the less oxidative damage that is happening to the produce that you're juicing. So this means you're simply going to get a higher nutrition in the juice. Now I want to go ahead and disassemble the machine and share with you guys some of the specific components about this machine that make it a lot different than Omega's previous models. This is the revolutionary part of this whole machine here, is the auger here. So this auger is a twin wing design. So you guys can see there's basically a wing here and a wing here, kind of like a propeller blade on like an airplane. Maybe you could fly off of this. But seriously, what this twin wing design does, basically it feeds things into the juicer twice as fast. The older VRT series only had a single wing or single blade on it, so it feed things slower. So even though this is running half the speed as the previous models, it's accepting the produce at the same rate. So this is really cool. And also they have a newly designed auger. This auger shape is a little bit different. And in addition, I want to point out on the bottom of the auger here, this is a different style auger than all previous Omega VRT designs, because this auger actually has a little hollow inset in here. And this is part of the design, and if you see pulp getting stuck in the bottom of this auger, that's once again part of the design, and this will happen because this is another major improvement that Omega has made in the design of their juicers at this point. So let's go ahead and show you the next few parts. Of course, the next part we got is the juicing screen right here. So I'm happy to say that they've actually made this juicing screen more compact than the previous VRT models, so it's smaller. In addition, it looks like the screen hole size has been refined to a smaller mesh, so this will probably mean less pulp in your juice. In addition, one of the things I really like about this screen design is, I don't know if you guys could see in there, I'll hold it up at an angle, but inside this screen design, all the way down, it's all stainless steel except for a few plastic ridges that are in there, and that's what pretty much does the grinding of the produce. So I like that they've expanded this to all stainless, because previously it was stainless, plastic, stainless. So this is all stainless. In addition, this is a lot more compact, plus the hole sizes are smaller. In addition, what you'll notice if you are familiar with the VRT series, on the bottom of this screen, there is no little hole that the pulp must be force-fed out of. It's this hole in the screen that I have seen many times get clogged up with pulp. So they've simply deleted this and changed the design on this machine. In addition, they have the automatic wiping blade, which actually goes around the screen, and this is the same on the previous model. And as this spins around, it's like the windshield wipers on your car. It helps to auto clean the screen, keep it clean, and you know, keeps the juice flowing out of the juicer. So normally this wiping blade is driven by little gear on the bottom of the juicing bowl, but they have deleted this. They've done something super intelligent. It's actually now driven by the two wings on the auger. So let me go ahead and put this in properly. So as you guys can see, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and spin the auger, and as you guys can see, the auger is spinning, and as we're spinning it, the wiping blade is also rotating. So this is definitely really cool, and this is, you know, I think where all vertical slow juicers need to go to remove that gear on the bottom. One of the challenges I've seen with that gear in the past is that it can collect pulp, and actually it can be excessively difficult to get the pulp unclogged from the gear. So I'm glad they're making the juicer now more user-friendly. This is the whole bowl unit. So one of the things they've done with this bowl unit is that this is now made out of the Eastman Triton copolymer material. So this bowl unit is the BPA-free material, which I like a lot. Previous models, some of them did use the standard polycarbonate material. Another thing they've done that's really nice is the ejection port. They've expanded that. They made it actually a lot bigger, you know, at the end where the pulp flows out. So this is really cool. But another thing they've done actually on the bottom of here, you have this little pulp flap. So this pulp flap, its job is to basically keep some back pressure on the pulp and not allow it to come out until it's fully wrung out and fully juiced. They've actually made this hole smaller in size than the previous model. So this will be interesting to see how that affects, you know, the whole machine. Also in the bottom, as you guys can see, there is no gear, little spinning gear that spins the wiping blade assembly. I showed that to you guys. Another thing you're going to notice on here is that they've really improved the bushing design on here. One of the challenges with other vertical slow juicers on the market is that this bushing juice tends to seep through there. So in this design, it looks like they've increased this and made it actually a lot thicker than any other bushing on any other vertical slow juicer that I'm aware of. So hopefully this will surely prevent the leaking, you know, onto the motor base of the machine. The other thing I'd like to point out is that this is actually measured up to 450 milliliters. For those of you guys that are in the US and not familiar with 450 milliliters, that's almost half a liter, and it's basically also 16 ounces. So actually you can do mixing inside this bowl, and this bowl is larger than the original VRT series bowl. So that makes it a lot nicer. Say you want to do nut milks, that's one of the primary reasons you do the mixing. Also, if you desire less pulp in your juice, I do recommend you close your pulp flap and to let the juicer mix inside there. This will help reduce the pulp in the juice before you open it up and let all the juice flow out. Oh, also we got this little pulp flap, and this is what makes it possible to you know, do the mixing inside the machine. And I definitely like this a lot. It's nice and ergonomic, built into the machine because it was there in the first place. Some other machines basically have a clip-on apparatus that kind of make it come out further, but this was designed with the pulp flap originally set up, so I like that a lot. Another thing that you're going to notice on the bottom of this, unlike the previous models, is that, you know, it was a challenge with some of the previous models because you'd set it on, then you'd have to turn it and lock it in place. There are no locking pins on the motor base or on here, so this is a literally set-in design. So you literally just drop this in, it locks into place, and you just lift it off to disassemble it, and that's definitely a lot easier than the previous model. So here's the main base of the unit. It's actually a fair bit heavy. Once again, this is in the red color. It also is available at this time in silver and white. Basically, there's a switch on it. It's a momentary reverse switch that you press to reverse if things should get jammed in there, and then the middle position is off and the top position is on. Other than that, there's about a 6-foot 3-prong cord on it to plug in and a grounded plug. So that's really cool. Let's go ahead and reassemble. Show you guys how easy this guy is to assemble. It's very simple, very easy. There's less things to align than other vertical slow juicers I've seen to date. Literally, you just basically make sure the spout is facing forward, and you're just going to set it on there like that, locks into place. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take this screen assembly. You're going to take the screen assembly in one hand, the wiping blade in the other, hold this in, And what you're going to want to do is take your thumbs, like I'm taking my thumbs, and you're going to push this all the way in so that the wiping blade, on the wiping blade, these two little blades line up to the screen. This is very important because you may have the tendency to just line up the bottom of the wiping blade with the bottom of the screen and it's not fully on. So I like to just take my thumbs and push it up, and this is actually going to be recessed like 1/4 of an inch there. Then you're going to go ahead and take this wiping blade and screen assembly and drop it in. The cool thing is with this machine, unlike previous vertical slow juicers, there are no dots to align. You basically drop it in and you rotate until it drops down into place. So this is really cool. I like it a lot. Next, you're going to go ahead and take your auger and make sure the little cutouts in the auger goes in where there are cutouts in the automatic wiping blade. Very simple and very easy. Turn that in and it's all in place. So now if we turn the auger, it actually just simply turns the wiping blade. Last part that there are some arrows you will need to line up is the top, of course. There is a little red arrow on this piece that then you will actually line up with the back of the juicer, drop it in place, and then you're going to rotate this arrow to line up with another arrow, and it's going to lock in place, and then you're all ready to juice. And check it out, this is one of the quietest juicers I've tested to date because it is running at a low 43 RPM. It's virtually silent. I mean, this is in comparison to the juicers. It sounds like an airplane taking off in your kitchen, because they run at 10,000 plus RPMs that, you know, over a prolonged period of time may cause hearing damage. I mean, that's a lot of decibels, you know, that you're right next to running, especially if you're juicing every day. So I definitely like the quietness factor of this machine over all others because it is so quiet. I guess the next thing we need to do is get set up to juice. Oh, last two parts, of course, we're going to need. Omega is now including a larger pulp catch container than ever before. So this is actually quite large. I like it a lot. In addition, they have a juice catch container that holds approximately 1 quart or 36 ounces. So this will fit 1 whole quart of juice, and it's a nice little container with a little handle on the back. So the juice catch container goes underneath where the juice comes out, and the pulp catch container goes where the pulp comes out. Currently my cutting board is in the way. We're going to go ahead and move this guy down a little bit. And we're all set up and ready to juice. Now before we get juicing, it's very important that I show you guys a proper usage of the machine. Today we're juicing cucumbers, celery, and some Swiss chard. And if I was just to take the Swiss chard whole and shove it in the machine and do all the Swiss chard, then do all the celery, and then all the cucumbers, it actually wouldn't work so well. You know, much like riding a bicycle, you know, you have to learn how to ride the bicycle properly, you know. You might start out with training wheels, and that's what this video is. This is training wheels to get you guys and share with you guys how to juice properly in the VSJ juicer. But also, all vertical juicers require, you know, pre-cutting of the produce, especially the fibrous, stringy produce such as the celery and the Swiss chard. Also, other things like the kale and collard greens and things like that. You know, for best results, do require cutting. So what we're going to do first is actually we're just going to start cutting this produce up. On the cucumbers, no cutting is required as long as it'll fit in the feed chute, which is not a problem. With the VSJ, these small little Persian cucumbers will fit in no problem at all. So we're going to take out these Swiss chard leaves, and look at that. We could cover this whole juicer, let's see, with the Swiss chard leaves. I mean, these are some giant Swiss chard. You guys ever see Swiss chard this large? Well, I have. Actually, I've seen a lot larger. These guys are out of my garden, and I want to highly encourage you guys, if you do get into juicing, and you know, and you're paying a lot of money for organic produce at your farmer's market, or you know, whole paycheck, health food store, you know, I want to encourage you guys to grow your own food. You could grow a higher quality food than money can buy. You could also grow much larger leaves than money could buy, but more importantly to me, it's going to be less expensive and much more nutritious. If you're interested in growing your own greens and food to juice, be sure to check my other YouTube channel, simply called growingyourgreens.com, where I teach you guys how to grow your food so you can juice it, you know, and make juicing basically free once you own your juicer. So let's go ahead and basically we're going to tear this Swiss chard apart. Now we got two things. We got the stalk, which actually resembles a celery, and we got the greens. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and roll these Swiss chard leaves up into like a big kind of cigar. And once we got it rolled up, then we're just going to go ahead and take our knife. I like to use ceramic knives. And we're just going to do what's called a chiffonade technique to cut up the greens. Now, the greens of this Swiss Chard is not too important to cut up, but what is important to cut up is this white stalk. You know, the vein in the middle. This is what has the fibrous strings, much like the celery, that would get stuck in your teeth. So it's these strings that will also clog up the ejection port on the juicer, and this is why it is important to cut it up. Now, some people may cut this up into 2-inch pieces or 1-inch pieces. For best result, I recommend cutting it in 1/8-inch pieces. I'm kind of lazy today, so it looks like I'm probably doing about 1/4-inch pieces. But that's the size I would recommend. If you do cut it in larger pieces, be aware that it may end up clogging your juicer. You will get more pulp in your juice, and it's just plainly just not going to work as effectively. Alright, got all that Swiss Chard leaves chopped up. So we're just going to go ahead and take a nice bowl there and put all these leaves, which will, man, look at that. It fills an 8-cup mixing bowl of the leaves. That's simply, you know, 4 pieces of Swiss Chard. And I weighed out this Swiss Chard, 4 leaves of Swiss Chard, 1.25 pounds. This is simply how I get my greens in me, by growing gigantic Swiss Chard. I only need to eat 4 leaves a day, and literally I'm getting the nutrition out of 1.25 pounds of Swiss Chard. Next, of course, we need to deal with the stalks. Do not throw the stalks away, people. Man, if anything of the Swiss Chard is good, the stalks are the bomb. If you just eat the stalks, wow, man. This might not happen from grocery store bought Swiss Chard, but fresh picked Swiss Chard from my garden, grown in compost and rock dust, other very good soil amendments. This stuff actually tastes very salty. Man, it's quite delicious. I definitely want this in my juice because it'll make my juice, give it some real flavor, some pizzazz, and some oomph, you know, without adding table salt to my juice. Once again, we must also chop these guys up. It's very important, into 1/8-inch pieces. Alright, so I got all the Swiss Chard stock chopped up. Finally, we're going to go ahead and chop up the celery. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is, because the celery and the Swiss Chard stock are very similar in texture, we're actually just going to mix them together. Next, we're going to go ahead and cut up the celery. And let me show you guys this. Basically, it's these fibrous strings in the celery. If I could get one off here. There's a little string there. This is what will get clogged up in the juicer. So this is what we really need to, you know, cut up. Once again, I do recommend 1/8-inch pieces, but minimally do like 1/4 inch. So we're just going to go ahead and chop these up, and I'm doing multiple pieces at once to save time. Alright, we got all our celery chopped up and ready to go. As you guys can see, basically what we're looking at is we're looking at 3 piles. 3 piles of stems, which is the celery, a big pile of leaves here, pre-cut up, and then we got our cucumbers here. So the thing to do on any vertical slow juicer such as the VSJ843 is you want to rotate the items you're putting in. Don't put all the carrots, then all the celery, and then all the apples. I encourage you guys to put the softest produce item first, and then put the next softest one followed by the hardest one. In this case, the cucumbers are the softest produce item. They are technically a fruit. Next, the leaves have a soft consistency that are going to get put into the juicer. And then finally, we got our pusher. You know, the vertical slow juicers need something to push out that pulp and push it all through the machine. And it's the fiber in the celery and the Swiss Chard stalks that help do it in this recipe. Other things you could use that would work well are something like carrots or beets. Other hard fibrous root vegetables such as daikon radish will really help get in there and push out the greens that you're juicing. So next, we're ready to start juicing. So first time I've used the Omega VSJ843 myself, and I'm looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and turn this puppy on. I like that it's nice and quiet. Man, nice deep tonality to that. And we're going to go ahead and put in cucumber. Now we could put in the whole cucumber. Maybe we'll try that, see what happens. So we're juicing this cucumber right up. As you guys can see, we're instantly getting some juice out of the machine, and here comes the pulp running out. Looks like it's doing quite well. Next, we're going to take a handful of greens, And one of the things you're going to notice is that I'm not using the pusher. So your goal is, if you own any vertical slow juicer, to not use the pusher, right? If you're pushing things in, you're feeding things in at a faster rate than what the juicer would like, because the juicer, you know, will work on gravity's principles and basically suck things in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a few of the collared stock, drop that right in the machine. Next we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of the celery here, drop that right in. It's feeding right in and the juice is coming out. Next we're going to start over with our cucumbers, drop that right in the machine and let it juice right up. Next we got some Swiss chard leaves that have been pre-cut up. And next we're going to follow that by some Swiss chard and some celery stalks to help push it all through the machine. So I've pretty much only juiced like 2 cucumbers and a small handful of the greens and the celery, man. We're already up to like 200 milliliters of juice. That's a lot of juice. Looks like the pulp. Man, this is some of the driest pulp I've seen. I could squeeze a little bit of juice out of it, but that's kind of normal because on things like cucumbers that are really wet, it's hard to extract 100% of the juice. I mean, if you guys juice cucumbers in a high-speed machine that sounds like an airplane taking off in your kitchen, I guarantee you that it's going to leave a much wetter pulp than the VSJ843. Alright, let's go ahead and continue to juice up some of my green juice. So as you guys can see, I'm more than halfway juicing in the Omega VSJ843 Juicer, and I'm having a great time. This thing is working really good. The pulp's coming out. It's coming out quite dry. It's feeding everything in. No problems whatsoever. I mean, I'm just so impressed thus far. Another thing I'm impressed with, and I want you guys to take this part of the video to heart, is the warranty. Omega is offering a 15 full year warranty on the Omega VSJ series against manufacturer's defect. So what does this mean to you? This simply means that you'll probably just have to buy this juicer once and you'll never have to worry about buying another juicer again. Many juicers on the market may have a short 90-day warranty. Maybe some of them have a 1-year warranty, which is good, but this is 15 years. That's 14 years longer. In addition, other juicers may have a 10-year warranty, which seems pretty long, but this is an extra 5 years on that. I mean, 15 years is amazing. Another thing I do want to point out is that there are other machines on the market that work very similar to the Omega VSJ machine that have a 10-year warranty, but it's only on the motor body and 2 years on the parts. And let me tell you something, from somebody that juices all the time and who's seen, defects and problems in the machine, the motor is a thing that rarely, if ever, breaks. It's always some of the parts. So do yourself a favor and buy a juicer that you can make an investment in that's going to be covered for the next 15 years instead of 2 years. So for example, if the screen breaks, which is probably one of the most likely parts to break on the single auger machines, in year 3 with other juicers, you're going to have to pay for the part, and the part's like maybe 80 bucks for that screen in there. But not so with the Omega series machines. The Omega VSJ 15-year warranty. If the screen breaks to no fault of your own, you're not sticking a screwdriver or a knife or a fork down there, push some produce in. Don't ever do that. Only ever use the pusher to push the produce in. Anything else may damage the machine, and trust me, I've had ex-girlfriends that have pushed things into the machine and damaged my auger, and it's not any fun. Actually, the auger is quite expensive if it should break or become defective as well. That could be another 80 bucks. So save yourself some time and have peace of mind by getting a warranty of 15 years by an American-owned company, Omega, who's one of the oldest companies in the juicing industry in the USA at this time. Alright, so it looks like I've planned very accordingly. We're almost full on the juice catch cup. We're up at 35 ounces. I have like a small handful of the celery and Swiss chard stock, a handful of greens, and 1 cucumber. So we're just going to go ahead and finish out this rotation. Check it out. We're out of produce to juice. We're probably maxed out on the juice catch cup. The juice is still coming out. And that's why what we got here, we got this little stopper. So we're going to go ahead and close that stopper. let it continue to juice just a little bit more and see if we get any more in the little area there, which it is still working. So I always recommend after you put the last produce item in, let the machine run another minute or two because you will get more juice out. The next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and taste this juice for you guys and show you guys the consistency. So we're going to go ahead and pour this juice out. Alright, pours nice and easily out of this pitcher. We got a nice, consistent juice quality. I detected very little pulp residues when I poured it out, but the final thing to know is the taste tested. Wow. At present time, without filtering or straining this, according to my sensitive taste buds, this has to be the most pulp-free juice that I've ever tasted out of a vertical slow juicer. So that's actually quite impressive. And of course, the juice was absolutely delicious. Now, if you're new into juicing, you might not want to do this exact same recipe. You might want to add maybe a couple apples in there to make it sweeter. But man, greens out of my garden, plus the cucumbers and celery that adds a nice neutral flavor. Man, this stuff tastes delicious. All made in the VSJ843. Now before I go, I want to show you guys how easy this juicer is to clean. That's another aspect of this juicer that I like a lot. It's literally almost self-cleaning. So let's go ahead and put this pitcher underneath and check out the extra juice that we made. We're going to go ahead and close this guy, put it to the side, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our bowl that we used. So once we got the bowl underneath the spout catch right there, we're going to go ahead and turn the machine on. And right now all I have is some clean water right here. We're going to go ahead and simply pour this into the machine here. Very easily, very carefully. What I want you guys to do is watch here as the bowl fills up with water. And we're only going to fill it up to the 450 milliliter mark. We do not want to exceed that mark there. And it looks like with the rest of the water I planned accordingly. We got it right up, it's a little bit past the 450 milliliter mark. But that's alright, you know, if you go too much, then it's going to actually overflow out the top. We do definitely not want this, so try to get it right to 450 milliliters and not go over. What's happening now is that we got water in the machine, we got the spout capped off, so now the machine is running and literally it's cleaning itself. The screen wiper that's going around, and if you notice, if you're looking at this closely, as it's sitting here, the water is getting darker. When I put in the water, you guys saw that it was clear. When it went in there instantly, it was fairly clear. But as time goes on, it's getting darker and darker because what it's doing, the machine is literally cleaning itself. So when you take it apart, it's going to make cleaning much more easy for you guys. So, you know, I also believe that a juicer that's easy to clean is going to get used more often. If you buy even the best juicer and it takes like 15 minutes to clean, you know, the fact of the matter is you're probably not going to use it as much. And I'm like that personally. You know, I want the juicer that's easy to clean. And with the Omega VSJ843, they make it easy to clean. Look, man, that water is so dark right now. So once you run it for about a minute or so, you want to open this little baby up and pour out all that water that was once clear and is now, you know, stained with the juice color that's coming right out. One of the things I like to do is tip that little juicer up, see if we get a little bit of the extra water out, which not much is coming out. We're going to go ahead and put that spout cap down. We're going to now turn off the machine, and you know, I want to show you guys this. I'm going to go ahead and pour that water back in this cup here. I mean, this water went in clear. Look, it's now, you know, colored the green color. And this is what you would have to wash out of the juicer, but you don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and pull this top off. Got a little bit of extra water that didn't go in there. And now on the top of this component here, there's basically nothing to clean. I got a few pieces of random celery that I'll need to clean. And you just literally put this underneath your faucet with a little brush it off. You're all ready and all clean. Super simple, super easy. Next, I want to show you guys this auger. One of the cool things about this auger design is that this auger design tends to not collect pulp like other augers. Some of the augers I've pulled out on vertical slow juicers in the past have been filled up and packed with pulp, which means that pulp is not getting juice, which means you're losing juice, but also it means it's going to be harder to clean. So check out this auger. Look at that. Look at this auger. It's virtually clean. There's virtually barely any pulp. Now, the thing to remember is underneath the auger, you guys can see there is some pulp, but the easy way to deal with this is take your juice collection bowl, take your little pinky finger, and just run it around, right? Super simple, super easy. Put that in your pulp collection jug. I recommend, if you do have a garden, to compost your juice pulp. Also, you can get some worms, some red wiggler worms. Even if you live in an apartment in New York City, you can have red wiggler worms. They love the juice pulp. To keep the bugs down, you're going to want to freeze a juice pulp 3 days before you give it to your worms, and thaw it out before you give it to them. But just by simply putting my pinky finger in here, getting all the pulp out, this is now virtually super simple, super easy to clean because there's no pulp residues. Oh, let's check this out. This is a beauty. Oh my gosh, I've never really seen this before on a juicer screen before. Look at this. This screen is virtually clean. I mean, this thing is self-cleaning. It's amazing. We got a little bit of pulp residue at the bottom. We're going to take our finger once again, put it in there. But look at that. There's barely anything to clean out of these holes. That being said, on all vertical juicers, you do need to use a special cleaning brush. It's an oversized toothbrush to clean the holes. But looking at this, you know, there's not a lot of residual pulp in there. That being said, I highly encourage you guys to use the cleaning brush every single time after you juice, because if you do not, pulp will get clogged up. Even though it looks clean, I can see some pulp residue in the holes. So, but this is going to be super simple, super quick, and easy to clean because it's almost all clean already. Last, of course, we got the automatic wiping blade in here to clean, and basically just going to brush this down with a brush. But as you guys can see there, this is virtually cleaned itself as well. Finally, we got the main bowl. Now the main bowl, yes, there's some residual pulp in the bottom, and there's some pulp caught in the spout there. The way I like to deal with this is basically pull out this little rubber plug here. I like to then take this on its side and just tap it against my hand. Don't tap it against anything hard because you will damage it, but I like to tap it against my hand. Very simply and easily, and we basically removed the majority of the pulp that was contained in here. We can then take the back end of the cleaning brush that has a little screwdriver end and get the rest of the pulp out. I mean, this is how easy the Omega VSJ is to clean. I'm so glad that Omega has come out with this machine. Runs at a lower 43 RPMs, revolutions per minute. It's nice and solid sounding. It runs slow. It's quiet on the ears, easy on the ears, and also super easy and quick to clean by simply adding some water so that you could do more time drinking and enjoying your juice instead of cleaning your juicer. If you're interested in learning more about the Omega VSJ843, be sure to check the links down below this video to click on and learn more about it. Also, be sure to visit our website, discountjuicers.com/YouTube, for special promotional offers. Once again, my name is John Kohler with discountjuicers.com. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep drinking your fresh vegetable juice. It's one of the best things for you in the world. Alright, this is John Kohler with discountjuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. And what we're going to do today for you guys is introduce you to the all-new Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer. The Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer is now available in the pearl red color.